Welcome back, everybody. This is David Gordon. I'm here with my good friend, Max Douglas. And before we get into our topic today, which is Catholic home decor, the decoration of the Catholic domicile, the Christian domicile, even the American Western domicile, I want to talk to you guys briefly about the hiccup with Ask Your Husband, the plagiarism charges, all of that. At some point, just bear with me, at some point I am going to make public and go public with what actually happened, the more full version. For right now, just note that the book has been pulled for plagiarism. Publishers don't pull books for plagiarism unless there's a there there. They don't invest all this money in getting something out and to press and marketing it and talking about it and printing it, all of that with it, and then just take a bath on that money. That's a big investment. So there's a there. I'm going to go public with what happened when the time is right. Moving on past that, please do like and subscribe. We're trying to grow this channel. It's going to be an authentic Catholic community where we talk, we interact. I want to start doing live streams regularly, interacting with you guys. I don't just want to bloviate from behind a microphone. I think there's too much of that in the Catholic world. Just some talking head like pounding on his copy of Summa Theologica and talking at you. I really do want to interact and have a place where like-minded Catholics can get together and kind of have some confraternity. So that said, I'm here with Max, who is a little bit of a design wonk, a little bit of an art wonk on the side, and we want to talk about something that's really important, actually, for even just evangelization, for bringing up your kids to be faithful Catholics, and that is why art matters. How to decorate your home, how to make your home sumptuous and beautiful, and make it a place of mirth and happiness and warmth. And that's something that's been lost in our society. It's something that's been lost since we're getting atheists setting the cultural tone. You're getting woke Ivy League grads who are CEOs of like HGTV and, who have a hand in all the media, and they're telling us what is cool, what we ought to think is cool, what trends we should follow. And they're pushing their ugly, atheistic, meaningless, esoteric art down our throats. And it's something to be avoided. We want to bring back the days of old where you had the Catholic home that's well appointed, well lit, with walls sumptuously decorated with iconography and beautiful art that really draws people's hearts and minds to God. Because we talk about, truth, goodness, and beauty, which are all ways of expressing true being. Truth is really being as is known to our intellect, and goodness is being as is known to our conscience, and beauty is being as is known to our senses, and they all reflect the being of God. So by creating a beautiful world of art, by creating a beautiful world of decor in the Catholic home, you're actually bringing up your family for God without even expressing it, without explicitly saying it. You're grooming them to love what they ought to love, and you're grooming them to hate what they ought to hate, which is ugliness and untruth and wickedness. Max, that said, that's a mouthful. What do you got for us? I know you have strong feelings on this matter. As I said, you're a bit of an art wonk. You make me kind of feel bad. You drop terms on me all the time. I'm like, well, I like Garamond, and you're like, well, that font is brutalistic, and it's
The chiaroscuro on your face from the webcam. I mean, just the way the light interplays with the shadow. I mean, the Caravaggio would just be man, he would love it. But no, that's exactly right. It's the modern home. It's just, I mean, all this stuff starts from the Bauhaus design school between World War I and World War II, and you had this, you want to call it cultural Marxist thing where you'll have these. The whole idea was, how do we mass produce these things where the form follows the function of the thing. So you'll have these teapots that look like a half dome just sitting on someone's counter. Just, I mean, it looks like an ugly half sphere, and they pick like the worst colors. I don't know what they had going on like in the 50s and 60s. The really vibrant like light blue and teal and like the off color yellow and green. I mean, it looks, I don't know, like a neon shop. I don't know what that was about, but the
Like Brady Bunch style decoration.
was it Brady Bunch style? I'm not super well versed in Brady Bunch.
Dude, what did you do as a child? Now I just feel bad for you. Like
Seinfeld.
Oh, yeah, that's the 90s. But yeah, light green with like orange chairs and like a clear glass tabletop or something. Or like,
what was that?
I don't know. It's just bad taste. I have no idea. It's just awful.
It's yeah. So no, I mean it's something that Catholics need to recapture. So I'm getting married here in the next couple of weeks, and we ask for your prayers and everything. But and part of the process, we've been, my wife primarily doing the research there, has been looking for things, and it's just everything is just gray walls, plain. Everything is minimalistic. There's no room for anything. No statues or any of that stuff. It just looks really void and vapid, and it's really an analogy for modern man. It seems to be for the guy who works at his tech job, his 9-to-5 tech job, and takes his electric scooter that he doesn't own and pays $3,000 a month in downtown San Francisco or whatever. It's the perfect aesthetic for that kind of guy.
No, it's actually a really good analogy for like the unformed human mind, the unformed human soul, the unformed human conscience that has been not evangelized, not catechized, not brought up in the sacraments, is totally just open to being bombarded with whatever societally. That's really what the barren white walls represent to me. So it's really apropos. It's very fitting that this is like the trend in modern interior design. Like unnaturally white walls, maybe with like a mangled hunk of metal on there. It's always bronze for whatever reason. We need a meaningless bronze star up there, and maybe some meaningless trope like a faith or something, or like believe, kind of scrawled on there in like papyrus font. That is what's being crammed down our throat. Wallpaper is gone. Everybody makes fun of wallpaper now. What is that? Like, wallpaper was really cool. It's really pretty. It's really homing. It's really comforting. But instead, people look down their noses at it and like, what? Let me guess, you want wallpaper on your walls? And what's next? You're not gonna hang a meaningless horseshoe above your entryway? And
what sort of psychopath are you?
Yeah, exactly. You don't even have a star on your wall or a wagon wheel?
There's nothing more comforting than, like, in my dentist's office, they actually have all those posters. Success, believe, hope. And I'm sitting there with, like, an instrument which looks like a piece of modern art sculpture where it's like, and they're, like, putting it down my throat. It's like, nothing makes me feel more comfortable than looking at that running waterfall with the word success on it. That really helps me deal with this metal object like ripping apart my tooth. That's great. So no,
what? I do
believe
believe in dentistry. I know that they exist. I saw that at SeaWorld. I've told you this story before. Before the whale came out and like did whatever whale tricks it was gonna do, I was in college and they just like there was like a light show and they're like, believe, like, I do believe in whales. I know they exist. I can feel it. It's meaningless. And people, you know why they put believe on their walls? Because like the people at IKEA realized that that's a sentiment or a word that means something kind of to a lot of people, and it means something differently, and it's really generic, and so people will like take it and grasp onto it, or apply their experiences to this phrase and like adopt it into their life. It's really just a profit-making scheme for corporate America, which is destroying art home by home.
Yeah, and it's imbitism. The corporations know like they need to appeal to the self, the ego, people's pride, which is why it seems that they do those things. Growing up, I don't know. I mean, we didn't grow up going to mass all the time, but we had like this big bronze sun on the wall, and I was just like, "What the hell is?" I remember thinking to myself, "What the hell is that? Why is that on the wall?" And it had like this big dumb smile too, like the Teletubby sun, like it was like a motif off of that. I don't know. When I
Did it
don't
have a handbag also? If it was the purple one had the purse, right? That was like a scandal.
It made me want to punch a hole in the wall, if anything. I mean, it did not make me like. If it was to make me feel happy, it didn't do that.
Your parents are watching this right now, and they're like, "Son of a." But honestly, the home has become where it used to be wallpaper, comforting, soothing, carpet, comforting, soothing, warm. Lots of things to feast your eyes on the walls that are going to draw your mind to God, to the higher things, to transcendental things. Those comforts have gone out of style, and that makes sense. Because the home is no longer a home. It's no longer a place of comfort. Rather, it's very much utilitarian. It's devolved into essentially a hotel that people own. Because feminism. That's why. Because women have been siphoned out by these Marxist overlords of the home. They've been told that if they just stay home and they make they're homemakers, if they're stay-at-home moms, if they're housewives, then they're somehow not reaching up to their full potential. So they've been taken out of the home, and the home it's lost its heart. The woman's the heart of the home. A home without a woman, without the wife, without the mother, is a coronary. It's a cold, lifeless, dead place. So they've been taken out, and the home is not these fine appointments that a woman would usually care about making to the home, the decorations they would normally want to put on the wall, the carpet that gives comfort and warmth. Those aren't important anymore because home has just become a house where you sleep every night. As feminism has crept into the culture,
I think it's one of the things that people throw around the label like, "Oh, you're a misogynist." I uphold the dignity of women by saying that they should stay home. There's nothing more, I think, gratifying and fun, and I mean, for a woman who, when you get to be a stay-at-home wife and mother, I mean, you get to be an interior designer, you get to be a nurse, you get to be a cook, you get to do all those things, like sewing and knitting and taking care of your husband, and all those things are like wrapped into one, and it's a beautiful thing. But instead, like, well, you're gonna go out and like teach somebody else's kids, and then send your kids off to public school. You're gonna go like be an interior designer for like the local design firm. It's like, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Well, absolutely. No, that's 100% right. Instead of raising a new generation for God, actually winning souls for eternity, for God, instilling values and virtue in your kids, making the home into a place where the kids aren't going to want to flee when they're 18. I made a video before talking about what people did wrong where their kids went away from them. They left the faith. Part of it's because they just had a bad home life. They had a bad home experience, and they say, oh, Catholicism was central to my parents' ideology. Well, my parents' ideology only created ugliness and heartache for me. Therefore, I'm leaving behind the Catholicism. Making a home into a pleasing place is actually winning souls for God. It's like glue that's going to make kids want to retain their familial identity. And of course, their familial identity should be steeped in the Christian faith. The Christian faith should be the rock, the cornerstone of that family identity. And when that's lost, obviously, that sense of oneness, that true communion, is also lost. It's really important. So as feminism has crept in, we've seen the house, forget the wallpaper. We're just going to go white on the walls. It's easier to maintain, blah, 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 blah. It's all about efficiency. We're not going to get carpet. I have to maintain that. There's spills that happen on the carpet. You have to shampoo it. You have to take care of it. It gets stained. We're going to go hardwood. So we have an echoey, cold, lifeless home, and then I have to wear slippers all winter because it's like -20 outside and my floor is like an ice skating rink. That's where we're at. It's over efficiency, and
-30 in Detroit.
There's that, yeah. There's that. The over efficiency, though, is dooming us because it's robbing us of what it means to be man. It's robbing us of our appreciation for the things that matter. These families, all they do, there's no family community. They get home, both spouses work. They get home, they have a crappy subpar meal, usually like bland, saltless chicken, rice, and some crummy salad that took 15 minutes to prepare. There's, again, a premium is placed on fast meals. It's never meals, as humans know, are a place of communion and chatting, lively conversation, growing in love and fondness for one another. That's what a meal really does in the human sense. But in the modern America, the modern West, that puts a premium only on man as a worker, then these things, we don't have time to prepare a meal for 2.5 hours. It has to be bland, disgusting, like chicken that's overly healthy so you can work more years of your life. And that's what happens. Then they, kids,
it's communism. It's communism. You break down the family. The art reflects that. It's you're a cog of the state. People literally put freaking cogs on their wall now, or they'll put like cogs. It's like, oh, isn't that beautiful? Those rusty cogs on the wall. It's like, no, that looks dumb. That looks really dumb. It's like, it's just like me, a cog in the machine. For the young, we had the last time I was on your show. We talked about married life coming up. Women, if you're dating and a guy is willing to let you be pimped out to corporate America, or he's not willing to like lay down his foot, or he wants you to go work, you really need to like second guess and consider like, okay, well, what is my job? What am I doing here? What will I be doing in marriage? And guys, like, if you're dating a girl right now and she's very career oriented, she doesn't want to raise your own, pump the brake, like, please pump the brakes and consider what you're getting into, because like Dave is saying here, you want your wife to not make you bland chicken. You want your wife to not have you come home to a cold, sterile home. It is the domestic church, like the Catechism says. You want to come home to a warm environment. You don't want to come home to just trash on the floor and the place being an absolute dump. You don't want that.
Everybody has to do their duties, like, at the same time. It's not I get home, and since my wife has been preparing the house when I was gone at work, we have a chance to visit with the kids. It's that the kids were off at public school, the wife's been off at her job as a veterinary technician, I'm getting home from work, and then we're all gonna like eat a crummy dinner together, and we're gonna all like do the dishes together. What, again, just horrible. Like the last thing you want to do when you get home from work, dishes. And then the kid's going to do their homework, and they're going to probably go off and do all the activities that they're in to make up for an authentic home life, an authentic community with their family.
So, honey, how was dog surgery today? As you cut open your like sterile chicken, and like, it's like, yeah, I was doing surgery on a bulldog's intestines. It was great. It's like, oh my.
Yeah, no, for sure. And the kids is like, well, honey, you're off to water polo practice, or like, the sports are getting more obscure because now everybody's kid. It used to be people were honest and like, yeah, my kid's not athletic, but now it's like the kid can't make the real sports, which are like basketball and football. So then they're like, well, he's really more of like a water polo guy. It's like
I lettered in putt.
Yeah, exactly. My kid made the bowling team. It's like, dude, just admit they're more of like a science guy.
Bowling's pretty awesome.
Well, yeah, I like bowling. I'm not knocking bowling, but I wouldn't like put it on my Letterman jacket or whatever.
Yeah, if you have like the bowling ball on like your Letterman, that's like you might as well just say like, stuff me in a locker now.
Right. Just say I will not have a prom date. But anyway, so everybody's doing their own thing. And the other thing about feminism, this is the other way I smell feminism behind a lot of the unnaturally white, barren walls and like the fluorescent lighting. Men naturally put up like decorations that represent a family identity. Men really supply the identity for a family. It comes from the headship of the husband. So, if a husband's like, I'm a New York Giants fan, so my kids, just naturally kind of like the New York Giants for NFL. And it's kind of those things, those interests that craft a family identity. You know, part of your identity is those things that you like, that you do, that you did with your dad. And that's very natural. That's why, like, Joseph is a carpenter. Jesus is a carpenter. There's a carpentry streak in the Holy Family. That's part of the Holy Family's identity. It's kind of, it's not just ancillary to the Holy Family. So we both like duck hunting, right, Max? We get birds, you know. We didn't do that well this year. But we theoretically shoot some ducks every year. There you go. And what's natural for a man who is a hunter is, like, you get a trophy bird maybe once a year, and you get that bird mounted and you want to put it up on your walls. Now, here's the test. There's a couple patented Dave Gordon tests for if a man is henpecked. Number one, does he have gross snack foods? Because men like to snack. So if you don't go into a man's cupboard and find some Twinkies or something, it doesn't have to be Twinkies, cookies, something
Donuts.
good. He is not the head of his household. He has been supplanted by, like, an overbearing wife. And if there are weird grains, like
where do Cliff Bars fall? Because I feel like Cliff Bars are
fair. Just fair game. I mean, it depends, but, like,
depends
the
on the
weirder
flavor.
the grains, dude. The grains is what gets you. If you have, like, a bunch of quinoa in there, like, that means somebody. It ain't the man wearing the pants in that relationship. It's probably the wife. Now, that's one of the tests, but the tests I'm implicating here, that I'm referencing here, is, are there some manly decorations on the wall? Can you hang taxidermy on your wall? If you're the type of guy whose wife is like, no, we're not doing taxidermy in my living room, it's like, first of all, it's not your living room. Wait, you're a veterinary technician by day. It's my and I pay for the living room mainly.
The whole idea of a man cave, not to cut you off, but the whole idea of a man cave needs to go away. It's the man house. It's the man's house. You don't get relegated to the little corner closet that you can fit your little couch and your 24-inch, you know, TV for watching ESPN at night. It's the man house.
That's right. No, we're the kings. This is our castle. This is our dominion. Every king has dominion. We have headship over our families. Absolutely. The man cave, if you have a man cave, you're just cucked. You are a beta. You shouldn't have to have a man cave. And that's where I'm going with this. Like, if you have to ask permission to put up taxidermy, no, you are not wearing the pants in your relationship. But that's what we see with the advent of feminism, with it coming into our just raging into our culture. That's why there's so many white walls. Because these women who are brainwashed by, like, HGTV to think that white walls are somehow, like, really cool and chic, they won't let their husbands put up honest things. Like, maybe a man wins a bowling trophy. He wants to put it up on his wall. He wants to put his plaque up for, like, Salesman of the Month award on his wall. And that's fine. That's honest. That's good. That's a family identity. And that's something, if you go into our grandparents' houses, they all had stuff like this up on their walls because it was a more honest time and it wasn't rife with feminism. And it's a really male impulse to display these more accurate snapshots of maybe family life on the wall as opposed to the pure form that might be favored by the feminine mindset. So when you go in and you see just blank walls, you're not allowed to have taxidermy. You're not allowed to put up your bowling trophy. You're not allowed to put up, you know, this candid shot that you took of the family member. You know, it has to be this prearranged family portrait where the kids are dressed up like
I hate those
sailors or whatever. Ridiculous. Just give me a candid shot any day of the week rather than the 200th family portrait that you have to, like, that your guests have to pretend to be interested in. They don't care.
Candid shot of eating a Twinkie that from the non-cucked cupboard.
Yeah, there you go. Like putting the exactly. Well, I think that's what's behind part of this. It really is, and it's not a politically correct thing to say. It's just that women think way too much of what the Property Brothers are going to think of their home.
Yeah. And you talk about, like, the whitewashed walls. It's just giving me, like, it's making me think of like 1500s, like, Protestant whitewashing the churches. I don't know if there's an analogy there, but, like, and the Catholic response to the whitewashing of the Protestants was Baroque. It was Council of Trent. Maybe, like, the response to the feminist whitewashing of our homes is I don't know, maybe a trophy duck and some massive, like, you always know when you walk into a Catholic home and the saints are like 3 feet tall. You're like, I'm outmatched here. These people are they're praying the rosary, and by rosary I mean all four, all three,
Yeah,
all four. 3 mysteries.
There's 4, but yeah, you're cool.
All right, 4. All right, we'll 3.5. No, I'm kidding. So there needs to be a male response to this, and there needs to be, again, the
it's like Donald Trump. Not to cut you off, but like Donald Trump, when it's like the wall just got 10 feet higher. Like if Mexico's trying to, like, bargain with him or whatever, wall just got 10 feet higher. Like, we got 2 ducks coming in, 2 ducks and a deer mount. In. Go ahead.
You know what? That roadkill on the side of the road, I'm getting that taxidermy just because.
Exactly. That splattered rabbit in front of the house, like, you just bought yourself that in the living room. That's the centerpiece.
Well, in the moral theology, basic moral theology, it's like if you're in excess, go to defect. If you're in defect, go to excess. You just want to correct. You want to correct to the opposite direction. The trend now is still, Bauhaus, constructivism, geometric kind of Memphis school. Like the 1980s, kind of the mid-century modern. Very industrial revolutions, not industrial, like the industrial complex centered thing. Go handmade. I mean, that's why something like you go on like something like Etsy, you can get some really cool Catholic icons on there. You can get some really cool Catholic art on there. Handmade, cool stuff. I think that might be the solution. I don't know. What do you think, solution-wise?
Something over nothing. And this is the beauty of it. Catholicity doesn't mean uniformity. The popes have insisted on this. Pope Benedict XVI said that. Catholicity does not mean uniformity. Do something that resembles beauty. Instead of having all this great big white canvas of walls, the unnaturally sparsely populated walls, put something up there that's meaningful to you. Put up an icon that you particularly like. It doesn't have to be the most fancifully rendered. It doesn't have to be the most expensive piece of art, but have it be art that means something to you, that objectively means something, that channels some virtue, some emotion, and it's, obviously beautifully done, or as beautifully done as you can get. Put saints up. Put things up. Don't just have nothing. Make your home lively. Make your walls vibrant. Make them dynamic. Make them have depth and just something to look at. That's going to, when you wake up in the morning, you're going to see it and you're going to be like, that's pretty. I remember when I got that is lifting me up right now. And your kids, how many times do kids just like space out? They'll just be like looking at a window for a while. Have it be surrounded by pretty curtains, by pretty drapes, by a valance. Have them taking in all of these colors. Make it their home a place of mirth where they're being formed. There's something to be said for that. Do something. And again, we're not telling you how to live your life. We're not telling you what art to like, but like art. I'm saying don't like the meaningless blobs, like the yellow triangle on like a piece of canvas. That's stupid. It doesn't mean anything. It's esoteric. Don't like the mangled hunks of wrought iron, the twisted, contorted metal. That's stupid. That's not art. That's just somebody giving like no effort and trying to make you value what's ugly. Don't like those things. But like anything that is true art. Like anything that means something, that truly means something. And then your home is going to be partly an expression of you, of your soul, of your creative mindset.
Yeah. I think I have an important point to make here, where it's like the communists in the church, and we've talked a little bit about this before, but like the communists in the church, they move the tabernacle to the side, they create these what essentially the sanctuaries that look like great big living rooms. And then they straight up tell you, they say, well, the church shouldn't have St. Peter's Basilica. They shouldn't have these beautiful big statues. They shouldn't have any of this stuff. And they should give that, they should sell this stuff and give the money to the poor. No, the poor have a right to beautiful things. Your children, the most innocent of the innocent, the poorest of the poor, they have a right to beautiful things. Humans have a right to transcendental, beautiful things. Um, uh, and so I don't know. I think that's an important point to consider here, where it's like, um, I think a lot of guys, myself included, can fall is like being overly practical, overly utilitarian at the expense of uh, beauty, or at the expense of truth, and that's an important. I don't know. It's an important thing to consider.
Well, that dehumanizes the poor because again, it treats them like cattle. Like give them their hay. They don't want beauty. Like beauty is higher than just having like whatever a little bit of extra food for a day. Beauty is actually a higher thing. It uplifts the soul, and the soul is a greater good than the body itself. That's why Jesus is like, what does it profit a man to gain the whole world and lose his soul? The soul is up here. Feeding the soul is more important than merely feeding the body. Feeding the body is a means to later feeding the soul. You sustain yourself so you can grow in the things spiritual. And you know who said this? Well, that's Judas Iscariot.
It's Judas.
It's quoting Judas. And what did Jesus do? He rebukes him. Well, you're always going to have the poor, but give this to God. And when you make something beautiful, you're really giving it to God. When you make the sanctuary beautiful, when you make a church beautiful, and you rip down the felt banners, and you put up true, beautiful Catholic iconography, that's for God, and it's lifting up souls to God and winning those souls for God, and not treating them like animals who are just focused on what their next meal is going to be, but you're rather treating them like people who can appreciate what's transcendental.
Yeah, and I don't know where we are at on time, but I just kind of wanted to tie this all together, and I think our spiritual fathers, who are leading our Catholic families, our spiritual fathers, the bishops, they're not without blame on this. Where they still to this day in the diocese where I'm from, where I was born, the bishop there is building this $3 million, and I'm not kidding. It looks like a living room. It's barren walls on this exposed beam, and this just very like monochromatic brick, and it looks absolutely terrible. And so I think one of the things we can do, beautify our homes and then beautify our churches. Cut off the funding for these things. The peasant Catholics, the laity, have the money that the bishops are. You're giving them money that they're going off and building these horrendous things. There's parish priests that are getting like clamped down on because they want to put the tabernacle center. So get what's right with church, culture, politics, and I think things will more likely come into place. I don't know. What do you think?
I think you had touched on something earlier that I meant to comment on, and it's the Protestantization of the Catholic home and of the Catholic Church is really what it is. I think that was a shrewd insight you had earlier, which is, Protestants are iconoclasts. You know why we have to like scrawl faith on our walls in papyrus? Because they can't have like a picture of something that represents faith beautifully on their walls. So they have to scrawl some meaningless word in some stupid font on there. And so that's what's happening. And
if anybody uses papyrus for anything ever, I will come and find you. Let me just make that clear.
I can vouch for that. I think that explains corporate America's partial fetishization. I mean, obviously they're like, a lot of them are just like woke Marxists, but part of it is that when they're crafting like an interior design that they're going to mass peddle to like every American home, they can't have like crucifixes hanging off the walls. They can't have, Catholic iconography, or even something that resembles or calls to mind the spirit of that Catholic iconography, or just the milieu that you get, the general sense that you get from entering a Catholic home. It has to be something that's like mass marketable to everybody. So you get these blank, barren, sterile, ugly walls, and that's what we're peddled. And I really do think that partly comes from America being largely a Protestant country. And it's the same thing with the church. It's this convoluted, intense focus on being like Protestant friendly. And we've seen it really starting with the Second Vatican Council and prescinding from considering some doctrines, some dogmas, because it might prove alienating to Protestants, and it might do harm to the so-called ecumenical movement. So part of the ecumenia that's swept through the church means that our churches now need to look like Protestant worship centers, complete with like an area for the band that's going to be playing electric guitar and bongo drums, and the stupid overhead projectors, which we can't even get right. My parish has an overhead projector, and they have typos on it. It's like we can't even do that right. We can't even when we try and emulate Protestants, we're embarrassing at how bad we are at it.
What is it with like overhead projectors and printers? I mean, they're like the two most difficult pieces of technology, like the most basic piece of technology, but the most difficult. Anyway, I think that's
Max's boomer take for the day.
Printers are impossible.
This machine.
Printers and projectors. I don't know.
Do you want me to get you a keyboard with like the large lettering on there and stuff? I can get you a life alert. Exactly. Life alert bracelet for your birthday, Max. No, I'm just kidding. He's better with technology by far than me.
Depends on the day. But I think the general point is that beauty is meant to lift your soul up to God, and I think Catholics we have like Catholics should be the best at everything. Like we should run the table on Protestants, on seculars in this area, secular people in this area. You see my Michelangelo Saint David statue in the back. I mean, just it's a masterpiece. So I don't know. Anything else, Dave? Any closing thoughts?
Yeah, just in closing, interior decoration, your homes, attention that you put into your home, all of what makes a home is really important. Not just important so you can be comfortable, but it's important in the spiritual battle that's playing out in time. It's uplifting your soul. It's making your kids into better disciples for Christ. It's going to retain them through family difficulties. You know, if the home is a place of ugliness and it's depressed and it's gray, then kids are going to drift away faster when you do inevitably go through hard times. But if their childhood was a place of laughter and happiness and mirth, then that won't be as quick to happen. It's really important that we pay attention to this stuff. Consider it training the soul of your child, and maybe you and even your spouse, to love beauty, to love the transcendental things, and to be uplifted for God. With that, thank you for being with us. Max, thank you for being on the show.
Thank you, Dave.
We'll take us out. See you next week, guys.